Yay.
Okay. So,
Did you take a picture of me?
No, this is video.
Oh, okay.
So, first question is, where were you born? Or we already talked about
Knoxville,
this.
Tennessee.
Right? Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
That's
from here.
interesting.
I always lived here my whole life.
What got you interested in biology?
Interested in biology? Well, I always thought I wanted to teach, and I went to college to become a foreign language teacher, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
In what language? Just for the
Well,
sake of
I was
asking.
taking Spanish at the time, but my advisor said you will either have to major in English, minor in Spanish, or take 2 foreign languages. Things have changed now, but that's
Wow.
what they. So I was thinking French and Spanish, and I had both in high school, but I thought I don't know about this because they're pretty similar, and I'm afraid I'm going to get everything all mixed up. And I loved when I took my freshman zoology class at UT. I just loved it, and I loved my high school biology teacher. So I thought I think I'm switching, and I'm going to teach biology.
So it wasn't
instead.
necessarily from childhood. It was kind of
No,
more once you got
no,
once you
no.
got.
I had an aunt who thought she loved all her teachers, and all she talked about was, well, I had Miss So and So for this and Mr. So and So for this. So she just kind of ingrained it in me that it was terrific to be a teacher. I mean, back when I grew up, it's changed. Teachers were highly respected in the
They
community.
highly paid as well.
Mm-mm.
Really?
No,
So
but they
there's
were highly
always-
respected.
Okay.
So I just
Yeah,
thought
my
that was
father would
pretty
say the
cool.
same thing 'cause
Plus,
he has
I
a
knew I
master's in
wanted to
teaching.
have a family, and I thought that's going to be perfect because then I'll be off the same time as my children.
Okay.
So that's another reason I picked it.
So what did your friends and family think when you switched majors? Were they all supportive? Did they really care? Or did they necessarily care?
I don't
what
think
happened?
my aunt, for example, my mother, I don't think she even knew anything to tell me about it. But my aunt, she just thought any kind of teacher was terrific. You know, she just thought they were special people.
So they were all kind of yay. Well,
Yeah.
with I guess with the fact that people respected teachers more back then, they probably were more supportive than people are now
Yeah,
teaching.
I mean, back
But-
then, I didn't really think, about the salary or anything. That was not that important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, even now, and even when I was in public school, what was just as important to me, I mean, it was nice to get raises, but you seldom got them. But it was, to me, just as important working conditions and that you enjoyed what you were doing.
Well, true. My dad, he got a master's in teaching, and the
Did he?
salary was a concern because he wanted to have a family at some point.
Yes.
But he wound up getting a master's in teaching. He taught for a few years.
Yes.
And then went into other things, but to keep on
Uh-huh,
moving.
right.
What level of degree did you get? Master's,
Master's.
bachelor's? A master's. Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
masters.
what was your hardest biology class?
Well, my hardest, I don't think I really struggled too much with any biology
Really?
class. When I was getting my
wanna talk to you.
master's, when I was getting my master's, I think once I had a BS, I think the hardest course I took related to plants and animals was called plant physiology. It was a whole bunch of chemistry.
Okay.
But the hardest course I took, period, was not a science course. It was Western civilization.
Yes,
A
tell
history
me
course.
about it. I'm taking Western civilization. I can't.
And you think it's very hard.
Oh,
That was
no.
the hardest class I've ever taken in my whole
That's
life.
funny.
Western
That's funny 'cause
civilization.
that's one of my worst classes
Yeah.
this semester.
I was doing so. I was straight A's in high school,
Wow.
and then when I got to UT and I was taking Western Civ, I can't remember if that was my freshman year or sophomore year. There were 2 grades. There was a midterm and a final, and I was used to making A's on everything. I made a D on the
Yay!
midterm, and then, but listen to this though, I made a B on the final, and guess what I got for the class?
What'd you get?
A B.
See,
Because he graded on improvement.
I'm almost headed for the same track.
Are you?
Yes, I'm almost headed
Yeah,
for the same
and
track.
oh gosh, when I saw that D, I about fell through the floor. I can't make a D in anything. I make A's all the time.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, go ahead.
What was your favorite class as far as, I guess, biology related and then in general?
Yeah, well, when I was at graduate school, I loved botany classes, like identifying plants.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually another thing that was is kind of related to biology, I loved anthropology. Anthropology is like studying humans and human forms and like the history of the human and stuff like that. It's so interesting. Plus, I had a guy who was from Australia, and he was very handsome. So I really liked
No
him.
wonder you love
You know how Australians talk? You can't resist that.
What about
It was
aside from biology?
Aside from biology, I liked math pretty well.
Really?
Yeah. And I liked the foreign language, but English.
Did you ever go
I mean,
into-
English, I always made A's in English, but it's not something I would want to major in.
That's
or
the same
teach.
here. I've always aced paper.
Yeah.
I ace papers like
Yeah.
nothing, but no,
Yeah.
not something with
Right.
a major in.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I didn't care for education courses. Education courses have no meat to them. But that's mostly what I can think of that
So,
I liked a whole bunch.
did you do anything outside of teaching as far as biology field related?
Biology field. No, I don't think so. I've gone on a whole lot of hikes in Smoky Mountain Field School, but as far as a career
Okay.
and being paid
That's what-
for
yeah,
it,
that's
no.
my question.
No,
So-
I've taught ever since I got out of college. I mean, I started teaching the very next year I was hired, and I taught until I had I taught until I had my first child. Took 1 year off, and then I came back into teaching when I had my second child. I actually took about 10 years off.
Mhm.
But during the 10 years I was not teaching in public
10
schools,
years,
that's when I taught here.
Okay.
I came to Philosophy and taught, and then I returned to public school and finished up enough years to retire, and then I came back here.
So where did you start as far as schools go?
I actually started,
In
well,
what
I
grade
actually
level?
started at Holston High School.
Oh wow, so that's not right. up the
That's
road
not
from
very
me.
far from you, is it?
No, it's not.
But
it's not
they
that far.
lost enrollment. They didn't have as many students. So they said, because they had told me the teacher that I was taking her place, she had a baby, her first child, and they said, you can come back next year because she's not returning. So I'm like, great. And then right before school started, they called me and said, we have bad news plus good news. Bad news is we're going to have to drop this position because we don't need to have this many teachers. But then the good news was another principal wanted to interview me for a position, and I went to a different school. So,
What grade levels did you?
well, I was in high school,
yeah.
my first job.
Mhm.
That was just to finish out the year. And then after that, the position that they had open was a middle school teaching 8th grade. I have taught every single year of school from 6th grade all the way to
Wow.
community college.
Which is
I've
your-
taught every single grade, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in community
Which
college.
was your favorite?
I
Be
I
honest.
love community. No, I really like community college because everybody's so much more mature. But if you're talking high school, well, I actually like 7th grade. Okay, but they're kind of immature. And then apart from that, probably 10th grade,
So 10th grade is your favorite.
7th and 10th. But it's
Okay.
probably, in addition to the age of the student, it's probably the subject too.
Okay. Well,
Because
confusing.
I actually, when I first was teaching, because I was certified to teach earth science, because I took geology,
Mhm.
and I thought that was pretty interesting stuff too, by the way. But my first 3 years of teaching, I only taught 8th grade earth science.
Wow. So it's kind of light.
And
Not
that's
too bad.
not exactly what I wanted to teach, but it was interesting stuff, I thought. So, anyhow.
So I said what grade levels? So are you
6
still
through
pretty?
community
So you're
college.
still pretty happy with biology, or?
You know, that is so funny because public school was getting super stressful, mainly
Okay.
because they put everything on the teacher and they thought everybody should score really high. And you know yourself as a student, there's so many
Mhm.
factors. You know,
A
you
ton of
need a
factors,
good,
yeah.
you need a terrific teacher, but you also need to have a good home life and, you know, food to eat and stuff like that. So it's not, I mean, you can't put 100% of that on the teachers. You know, like if a kid does poorly, they were saying, okay, it's your fault because you were his teacher. Well, that's not 100% true. But the thing that I never got tired of is the interaction with the students.
Mhm.
And any of those levels, I just kind of like helping people. And then the other thing that I never got tired of was the subject. You would think after teaching something that many years, you'd think, if I have to teach about the heart one more time, I think I'm just going to throw up. I never got tired of the subject matter.
Wow.
I still
Okay.
enjoy it to this day. I mean, because I'm retired, I didn't have to do this. So,
Oh, really?
But
You're
yeah,
retired?
I'm retired from
Surely
the
not.
school
18,
system.
19?
Well, you know, they're letting 29-year-olds retire now. So.
Really? I didn't know.
Just kidding.
Hey, I would retire. What advice would you give aspiring biologists?
Aspiring
I'm
biologists.
just saying, but those that are
Well,
aspiring.
I mean, are you meaning as teachers or any
well,
field?
just in the field
Any
of
field.
biology.
Just
Yeah, or-
pick something that interests you, that you're super, super interested in. And you'll probably never get tired of it if you're super, super interested in it. I mean, another thing that helps me is I love learning things. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, even if it's not biology, I mean, sometimes I watch, you know, history shows, and I'm very poor in history, and I'm always thinking, man, I wish I knew more history. But I don't, blaming it on the teacher, I don't think I had very good history teachers.
Really?
I think that's why I did so poorly when I got to college.
No
Really,
wonder.
no, honestly, I don't think they taught me very much. And
I
I
would
was a
take you
good
in my
student.
class.
I was good enough that if they had said, "Go home and study this, you're having a test on it," I would have studied it, and I would know something today. But I just
agree.
don't think
I run into a
I don't
few.
think they expected too much of me or something. I don't know. You know.
Closing remarks. You got anything to say?
Closing
generally,
remarks.
In general.
Well, you know, there are tons of jobs. This is about career choices or something. There are tons of jobs that you can be good at and that you can make a living at. Pick something that you love to do.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.